Okay, welcome. We're on the bottom of Mem Hamid base, and what is that? About 3, 4 lines before it spreads. I'm going to review them all together, new sugya. Thank you. And the sugya is going to be about saying the bracha. The bracha that we say on the sukkah, Ashleisha Sukkah, the bracha you say on the lulav, whole sukkah. I guess it's ending up about the mitzvah of lulav. So this is the place that the Gemara puts it, even though it's nothing to do with the Mishnah. The Gemara Mishnah does say lulav arava shisha b'shiva, you take it all 7 days, but then sukkah you take you go 7 days. Now the Gemara talks about the bracha. So the Gemara starts. I'm Avidah Shmuel. Lulav shiva. Oh, I'm sorry. Over there. Lulav shiva v'sukkah yom echad. You say bracha on lulav all 7 days. Every day take the lulav. The first day is the rice, and the other 6 days are drabanan. You say bracha on the lulav all 7 days. The Gemara doesn't say the word bracha. That's what it means. Lulav you say bracha all 7 days. Sukkah yom echad. You only say bracha on sukkah the first day, and that would mean, according to the Gemara, even at this point, that even though you'll go out of the sukkah many times and Mesiach Das, and you come back, you went away for a trip, you come back, you wouldn't say bracha. Only one sukkah at the beginning of Sukkot, by Kiddush, the first night, you say bracha Leisha B'Sukkah, you wouldn't say bracha the rest of the whole Yontif. And we don't do like that, of course, but that's what this Gemara holds us for Shmuel. My time, how come? Lulav, there's no mitzvah lulav in the nighttime, only in the daytime. So when day comes to another day, so there was a big break, that there was a time that you weren't chayiv in lulav, so you say bracha on the second day again. But sukkah, the low, make it smaller. Sukkah. The low mifsaki leilos meyamim kulu shiva kechad yom avichadam. By sukkah, there's no difference at night because the night doesn't separate because the mitzvah at night also it's continuous. 7 days it's day and night. It's one big mitzvah. So therefore, there's no break in the mitzvah. So all 7 days are considered one day, and you say bracha in the beginning and you don't say bracha anymore. But included in this is more saying that even though it was Esach Hadas, even though you might have gone away for a long time, since the mitzvah was on for the whole 7 days straight, you don't say bracha. And the Gemara is going to make comparisons soon to other mitzvahs. These Gemaras we're talking about now, even though this talks about lulav and sukkah, but really it's very general issues. This first Gemara said that you don't say bracha even though there's a big Esach Hadas in between. You start doing a mitzvah and then there's a big break. You come back, you do it again. You don't say another bracha.
For the whole 7 days.
That's what he says. We're going to see, of course, you don't pass like that, but that's what this Gemara holds. That's what the first sheet that was Shmuel. Shmuel was the first sheet. This was Shmuel.
By Hanukkah.
What is the question by Hanukkah?
Lighting at night.
There's no mitzvah. There's no mitzvah during the day. That'll be the same thing by lulav. You say bracha each day because there's a break in between. There's no mitzvah to do like the Hanukkah light during the day. So then you say bracha again. That wouldn't be a problem.
Whereas
here there's a break in between. By the lulav, there's a break. You say bracha every day. Sukkah, there's no break, so you don't say bracha. I only say one bracha. Rabbi Bar Yochanan, that was the first sheet of Shmuel. Rabbi Bar Yochanan, Rabbi Yochanan, Sukkah Shiva lulav yemechad opposite. He says Sukkah you say bracha every day, and Shiva doesn't only mean 7 days, seven times. It means constantly. Whenever you go in and out of the bracha, out of the Sukkah, you Mesiach Das, you went to daven, you come back. You went to a trip, you come back. So you say bracha each time. Lulav yemechad. Lulav is only the first day. The opposite sheet. We also don't do like that. My time, Sukkah the rice, the Shiva, lulav rabban and sagalei b'chad yom. He says you only say bracha on the mitzvah deraisa. Big chiddush. That's sukkah, which is deraisa all 7 days. You say bracha all 7 days, even though there's no break in between. You say bracha whenever you're doing a mitzvah. If you had a Esach Hadas in between, you say bracha again. But lulav is drabanan. You don't say bracha. You don't say bracha on drabanan. You only say on the first day, which is deraisa. So this is a huge chiddush that this shita holds. You don't say bracha on the mitzvah drabanan.
That's how many class coming with Hallel.
No, Chazis is because it's not even a Rabbanan, it's only a minhag. But on Rabbanans, we do say brachas. We say brachas on Megillah and Chanukah, and we say on Lulav all 7 days, and we say on Tilu Shadayim, we say on Mitzvah Seiruk, we have all kinds of Rabbanans. But this Gemara holds, you don't say bracha on Rabbanan. So we have Machlokes so far. Shmuel says, you say bracha only on Lulav 7 days. Rabbi Yochanan is the opposite. You say bracha only on Sukkah all 7 days. Now there's a new shita, also in the name of Rabbi Yochanan. Before it was Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yochanan. This is Rabbi Yochanan. You say bracha on both of them 7 days, both on Sukkah 7 days and also Lulav 7 days. That's what we're going to pass on that then. But it'll take time till we get there. And what does he hold? That since by Lulav you say bracha, even though it's Mitzvah Rabbanan, you say bracha on Mitzvah Rabbanan, and on Sukkah, even though there was no break, you say bracha every time you go out and come in again. That you Mesiach Das, so you say bracha again. Rav Yosef, the verse that says, take the middle shita. Paskin like Rabbi Yochanan, then Rabbi Yochanan, because everybody holds like him as far as Sukkah goes at least. That means, Rashi explains that we pass like Rabbi Yochanan against Shmuel. He brings a Gemara in Eruvin that when there's a machlokes Rabbi Yochanan and Shmuel, we pass like Rabbi Yochanan. So Shmuel's out. the first shita, but now you have two versions in Rabbi Yochanan. So when everybody holds, everybody's in agreement that according to Rabbi Yochanan, you say bracha on Sukkah 7 days, like Rabbi Yochanan said, and also Rabbi Yochanan said. So then we're going to do like that. We'll say bracha on Sukkah all 7 days. But on the lulav, which is machlokes, then we're not going to say bracha because it's machlokes, and safek bracha is local. We're not going to say bracha. So just to point out what happened so far, we have two sugis coming up. One is going to be the say bracha on Rabbanans, and the other one is going to be when you had a mitzvah and there was a hesach hadas in between. You stopped doing it and you went away, did something else. You come back and you say bracha again. That's going to be the two sugis of today. And
like talis, like you take your good talis for 20 minutes.
could be, or yeah, that could be included in that also, right? Some will say only if the break was hesach hadas in a way that you weren't able to do the mitzvah, like taking off your tefillin to go to the bathroom, taking off your tzitzis to go to the bathroom is not such a big break because
There you can say, then you might not have to.
right. But the post of the Ramah says the Ramah says you do say that you don't say bracha on that. The Ramah is going to say don't say bracha on that because there was no official break. It wasn't a halachic break. He just decided to take it off. But tefillin that you couldn't wear inside the bathroom, so then he would say bracha again. But all that's concluded in our Gemara. Our Gemara has extreme shittas. Some say that on Rabbanan you don't say bracha, on a mitzvah Rabbanan, and some say that you don't say bracha even if there was hesach hadas. Even if you take your tefillin off to go to the bathroom and then come out again and put the tefillin on, some will say you don't say bracha on that. That's going to be today's sugya. These two sugyas.
But how does we hold that if you go to the bathroom, you just come back and you
Right, Ashkenazim don't. The Sfardim do, the Ashkenazim don't because it's not a halachic break because he didn't have to take it off. He could have worn it in the bathroom also. It's not also to wear towels inside the bathroom. Okay, the Gemara continues. The Oseh, Meisvei. Akasha from the following brisa. Round up Mem, what is it? Mem Bava Men Aleph. Meisvei. Oseh Lulav La'atzmo. We're not some brachas over here. We don't do it. The custom is not like that. But this Gemara says when you make a lulav, what does it mean you make a lulav? You tie the lulav together with the Hadassah and the Ravos before Yantif comes in. You're preparing your lulav, you're tying it up before Yantif, and you make a bracha. Which we don't see the bracha. Here it says say bracha. Say Shechiyanu. Baruch Shechiyanu. We don't do this. Our minhag is to be also with the lulav Shechiyanu on Yantif. You have in mind on the making of the lulav also. But this brisa says you say bracha before Yantif. Shechiyanu when you make the lulav. The Tefillah, let's say, on Yantif, when you take the lulav in order to do the mitzvah, which is, of course, the bracha you say on the lulav.
And we do the Shechiyanu at that point.
Right,
Thursday.
right. The Bryce also probably would like say Shechiyanu, but that wasn't the point of the Bryce. The point of the Bryce was to say Shechiyanu also earlier when you made the lulav, not on the mitzvah, but just on making the mitzvah. But anyway, the point we want now in the Gemara is it says opening the brisa, you say bracha all 7 days. That's like Shmuel. Shmuel said you say bracha on Rabbanan. Even though all 7 days is Rabbanan, the brisa says you say bracha. That's the right of Shmuel. The brisa continues also the other part by Sukkah. Here it says another chiddush we don't do, that when you make a sukkah, you say Shechiyanu. Even before sukkahs. When you make the sukkah, you say Shechiyanu, the fact that you made a sukkah, even before you do the mitzvah. We also don't do that. We also say it on Kiddush when you say Shechiyanu on the Yantif, it goes on the sukkah also. But the brisa continues. That's the bracha when you do the mitzvah. And now what does the brisa say about our question? Once you say bracha the first time, you don't say it again. So mamish 2 points. Mamish like Shmuel. Shmuel's winning on both counts. He says you say bracha lulav every day, and you say bracha on sukkah only one day. So that was Rabbi Yochanan said the opposite. Rabbi Yochanan said the opposite. That on lulav you say only once because it's the raisa, and on sukkah you don't say. On sukkah you say again and again, even though there was a hesach hadas. And here the brisa says lulav every day, sukkah only once. How could you reconcile Rabbi Yochanan with this brisa? Kasha lulav, kasha sukkah. It doesn't mean that it's a kasha in brisa. Usually this terminology means that it's a contradiction in brisa. So much nice. Here it means that this seems to be against Rabbi Yochanan. This is almost like Shmuel. That lulav you say bracha every day, and sukkah you only say bracha once. Rabbi Yochanan said the opposite. That lulav you say bracha only once, and sukkah you say bracha constantly. Rabbi Yochanan can get out of this kasha, even though he holds that you don't say bracha on the Rabbanan, he can say that when it says here you say bracha on the lulav every day, it's talking about in the Beis Hamikdash. The Gemara says when the Beis Hamikdash is standing, but it means more than that. It means that you're in the Beis Hamikdash, because in the Beis Hamikdash there is a mitzvah to take the lulav all 7 days. Out of the Beis Hamikdash is only the first day. Creates a dark couples tomorrow. That the Gemara learns out that B'fnei Hashem, the Beis Hamikdash is a mitzvah to say a bracha on the lulav mitzvah to take a lulav every day. So Rabbi Yochanan will agree. In the Beis Hamikdash you say a bracha every day, but out of the Beis Hamikdash only Rabbanan Zeichel HaMikdash over there he holds you don't say a bracha, so it's not a kasha from the brisa. Ela sukkah kasha. But how does he answer the kasha from sukkah? Here it says you say a bracha on the sukkah only once, the beginning of Yantif, and even if you go out, you go to shul, you come back, you don't say a bracha. One bracha the whole Yantif. And the brisa and Rabbi Yochanan said that you the Brisa says you say bracha only once, and Rabbi Yochanan said you say bracha constantly. You say bracha whenever you go out, whenever you come in again. So the Gemara says you're right. This Brisa is against Rabbi Yochanan, but Tanoi. The Gemara does find, now we're going to find a Machlokas Tanam about this issue. Do you say bracha if you're Masiach Das? Do you say bracha when you come back again? Is a Machlokas Tanam, and that's going to be a question who you're passing like. But it's not only a Machlokas Amoron. It goes back to the Tanam also. The Tanya we learned in the Brisa Tefillin. So we're leaving Sukkah because it's nothing about Sukkah Dafka. It's a general Machlokas. Whenever you're doing a mitzvah and then you stop doing it, and you come back to do it again, you have to have a new bracha. So the Gemara is going to talk about Tefillin. Tefillin, you will bring Tefillin, and you took it off to go to the bathroom, let's say, and then you come back and you put it on again. Do you say new bracha? Tefillin calls Masha Menichan Mevarach Alein Divrei Rebbe. Rebbe says to say bracha each time. The Chacham Amormim and Mevarach Alashachas Levad. Once in the morning, even though you take it off, put it on again many times during the day. They say there's only one bracha. Probably in the morning again, when the night's over, you don't want tefillin at night. Lots want tefillin. So therefore, the next morning, it's considered a new start. You say bracha again. But as long as the mitzvah is still on, even though you personally stop doing it, it's not a reason that you say bracha. That's the Chachamim. Rebbe holds that you say bracha again and again. So this is Machlokas we had till now. Shmuel and Rabbi Yochanan by the Sukkah. This is the case of Sukkah. Sukkah is the same thing. The mitzvah is an ongoing mitzvah for 7 days, 7 continuous days. But you personally, you stop doing it. You went out, you went to shul, you went for a trip, and you come back. So this Mamash Machlokas by Tefillin. According to Rebbe, you say bracha again and again, like Rabbi Yochanan. According to Chachamim, you only say bracha once at the beginning of the Chag, like Shmuel. Itmar. So you pass like now. Abaye says like Rebbe, they say bracha again and again. Only once, and then you don't say bracha even though you Masiach Das.
So Itmar means who do we pass them by?
Itmar means we learned. It's Amar. It was said. Abaye says Allah is like Rebbe. Rebbe says Allah is like Rabbanan. Amar Amar brother Bashmol. Chazdina le Rabba the law of Kishmate. I see that Rav Mari said. I see that Rabbi doesn't do like he himself said. It means even the Rabbi said, I pass like Rabbanan, that Hesach Hadas, you don't make another bracha, but I see that he didn't do like that. It means he retracted himself. Rabbi changed his mind. And Rabbi himself, when he put on tefillin, went to the bathroom, came on again, he did say another bracha, means he also holds like Rabbi. Ela Makne B'koi. I'm sorry, wrong one. Ela Makne B'koi v'ayil le'beis hakisei, v'nafik ha'moshi adei v'nach tefillin. He got up in the morning, went to the Beis HaKisei, he came out, washed his hands, put on tefillin and mavarich. Okay, that was his first bracha on the tefillin. And then during the day, he went to go to the bathroom again. He said a bracha again. During the day, if he needed to again, he'd go to the Beis HaKisei, come out, wash his hands, put on tefillin, and say bracha. So you see, say bracha again and again. According to Rabbanan, you don't. So that means that Rebbe, that he holds like Rebbe, and even the Rabbi himself officially passed like Rabbanan, you see, he changed his mind, and he passed in like Rebbe. You say bracha each time. These next words. They take out because it's Muchach in the Gemara. Not that it's not really the Gemara talking. This is a Rashi that got into the Gemara, so we'll skip it. We can just say Rashi. I'll just read this Rashi. This is Rashi talking that we also do like Rebbe. We make the bracha all 7 days by Sukkah, also by Tefillin, whatever it is Hesach Hadas, even though it's continuous mitzvah. If you made Hesach Hadas, you do say bracha.
So that's the 3 words. Mevarchin Kol Shiva we take out.
Another 4 words before that. All those 7 words, you can take it out and put it in Rashi. In Rashi says there's a couple of gears and changes over here, but it's really a Rashi, it's not a Gemara. The Gemara is still in the middle of Tefillin. We're going to pass like this. We do pass like that, pass like Rebbe, both by Sukkah and by Tefillin, since the mitzvah is continuous, even though you personally stop doing it, you Masiach Das, do say bracha again. Then the Machlokes in the poskim, how about if it was not halachic Hesach Hadas, like taking off tzitzis, putting it on again. So then the Ramah says that you don't say a bracha again. The Chaber says you do. That's very machlokes. The Gemara also says that you do. That's machlokes poskim already. But the Gemara says you do pasuk like Rebbe that if it was Hesach Hadas by Sukkah, you went out for a big Hesach Hadas, and by Tefillin you went to the bathroom. So you do say a bracha when you come back again. The Gemara continues. Amar Mazutra, Chazin Rapapi, the Cholim was the monarch Tefillin Mavarich. Rav Mazutra said, I saw Rapapi also, whenever he put on Tefillin, he said a bracha like Rebbe, Rabbanan the Be'er Ravashi, Cholim was the Mashmashibu Mavarich. Even when they didn't take it off, they just touched the Tefillin. Also, they said a bracha each time. Here, the poskim say that the way we paskin is that if they moved it, they touched it because it got out of place. If the Tefillin got out of place, so you weren't Yossi at that time, so it was like you took it off. Also,
that's if it's mamish halachically out of place.
Yeah, I think so. I think when it's halachically out of place and you put it back on again, that's how some poskim say. That's how we pass it. That if it would be still in place, you just touched it like you're supposed to touch it in order to remind yourself that you're wearing the tefillin. So then you don't say bracha. But when it got out of place, then you do say bracha. And that's the halacha. That even if you weren't yosef the mitzvah at that time, you see you weren't doing the mitzvah. When you start doing it again, you do say bracha again. That's the end of the Gemara, and we're going to pass him.
Unlike Chachamim.
Right, not like the Chachamim. First, I grab you against the Chachamim. They say bracha. You say bracha. You say bracha each time you Mashiach comes. The Gemara continues a little bit still to do with the sugi before, also coming out to a new sugya. Really, we're going to be talking. We're talking about the other half of this. Other half of this sugya. We said in the beginning that two sugyas going on. One is about sukkah. That's a mitzvah for 7 days continuously, but you must see at Asimutmin. I think we more or less finished that sugya, and now we're going on to the other sugya about lulav. What's the reason not to say bracha on the 7 day, on the 6 days? Because it's only Rabbana, which we said is a machlokes. Do you say bracha on the mitzvah Rabbana? Now the Gemara is going to open up that sugya. Do you say bracha on the mitzvah Rabbana? Amar Rav Yehuda Shmuel. Shmuel was the one that said before that you do say bracha on the mitzvah Rabbana, and Yochanan said no. Amar Rav Yehuda Shmuel mitzvah lulav kol shem. You say bracha on the mitzvah lulav all 7 days. Rabbi Shmuel Levi Yama Yom Rishon mitzvah lulav. We can't veil of mitzvah kenim. Only the first day you say bracha on the lulav because it's the raisa, but the rest of the days is only Rabbanan, and therefore you don't say bracha. And he holds like Rabbi Yochanan said before that you don't say bracha on the mitzvah Rabbanan. Rabbi Yitzchak Amar Kol Yom mitzvah kenim. All the days are only Rabbanan. The Gemara jumps up. All the days are Rabbanan. Bafil Yom Rishon. You're saying even the first day is Rabbanan. You don't say bracha. The first day is Rabbanan. V'kaim Milam the Yom Rishon the raisa. Surely the first day is the raisa. V'chachem L'cham Yom Rishon. The first day is the raisa. You're right. It doesn't mean to say that. It meant all the days are Rabban besides the first day. So then it's the same as the Mandama before him. It said before, we said Rabbi Yitzchak said that the first day is the rice, the rest days is Rabbana. And I'm sorry, before that was Rabbi Shulman Levi. Rabbi Shulman Levi said the first day is the rice, the rest of the days is Rabbana. Rabbi Yitzchak seemed to argue, and he said all the days are Rabbana. And he's saying he also means besides the first day. So same Mama Shem as Rabbi Shulman Levi. What's he arguing about? That's the Moshe Kashi. I knew Rabbi Shulman Levi. Their agreement. The one says you're right. That's what I mean to say. It doesn't mean Rabbi Yitzchak that he's arguing. Rabbi Yitzchak, he also agrees to Rabbi Shulman Levi. You don't say bracha on Rabbana. So we have here Rabbi Yochanan before, and Rabbi Shulman Levi and Rabbi Yitzchak. They all say don't say bracha on the mitzvah Rabbana. But Shmuel before and Rav over here, they say the Marav's coming up now that you do say a bracha on the mitzvah Rabbana. Rav Saba called Shiva mitzvah lulav. Rav holds like Shmuel that you do say a bracha on the lulav all 7 days, even though it's Rabbana. How do you see Rav's holds? You say bracha on the mitzvah Rabbana. He didn't say it by lulav. He said it someplace else, and the Gemara is going to make a comparison. He's talking about Chanukah. He said Chanukah, you say bracha on the Ner Chanukah. What does that have to do with us? Because it's mitzvah Rabbanan. We're just comparing all mitzvahs Rabbanan. It's a very general sugi. It's not a specific sugi about mitzvah of lulav. It's about Rabbanan. So Rav said the Chanukah, you say bracha on Chanukah. So he's on the Ner Chanukah. So you say bracha also on the all 7 days of lulav. You say bracha on Rabbanan.
That's what's my thought. That's what I was saying. No? Okay, whatever. Okay, so this is something about there's a hafsaka in there.
No, you're putting two sugis together. Two sugis and double exposure. One sugi is the Yisei Mitzvah on the Mitzvah Rabbanan. Nothing to do with Hafsakas. The Yisei Bracha on Mitzvah Rabbanan. Nothing to do with it. According to some, you don't say Bracha on Mitzvah Rabbanan. So that's one focus. And they were saying now that there are those that hold you do. We're going to hold you do. We say Bracha on the Chanukah. And on the second day of Sukkot, all the days of Lulav. So that is because you say Bracha on Rabbanan. There's another subject. When you have Hafsaka, if you made a hafsaka, there's not a reason to say another bracha again, and there's also machlokes. We're just finished saying that we pass that you do. So here's the Gemara that's talking about Rabbanan. You say bracha on the mitzvah Rabbanan, and the Gemara proves Rav holds like Shmuel that you do say bracha on the mitzvah Rabbanan because he says by Chanukah you do. Not the Gemara goes a little bit into Chanukah. Not only this is already like a side, like a bonus a little bit. Not only if you light the Ner Chanukah, even if you see a Ner Chanukah. So Rashi says this is talking about if you're not going to light. If you're going to light, you don't say a bracha on seeing. But if you're in a place in a situation where you're not saying a bracha, you're not lighting, but you see somebody else that lit, you say a bracha on that also. What's the bracha he's supposed to say on Ner Chanukah? Rav Yehuda Yom Rishon. Amadlik Mevarach Shalosh V'Avor Mevarach Shnayim. You can't veilech. Amadlik. You can't be like Hamadlik Mevarach Shnayim V'Avor Mevarach Achas. And the first day, if you're lighting them, you have 3 brachas. That's going to be Chag Neshel Chanukah and Shas Anisem and Shechianu. And the person only sees the Ner Chanukah, he didn't light. So he misses the first bracha. You don't say Lahadlik. So he's only going to say Shas Anisem and Shechianu. You can't veil after the first day. You missed that take on the Shechianu. So then, if you're only lighting, so then you're gonna have two brachas, which is Latin Neshel Chanukah and Shas Nisim, and the Roa is only gonna say Shas Nisim. My Mevorich, what's the bracha on the Hadlaka, which I said already, but now the Gemara says it. Bracha Shekel Shanu V'Mesoy Sivanu Ladik Ner Chanukah, Ladik Neshel Chanukah, whatever your gear says. So that's a chiddush. You say bracha on Rabbanan, so that was the whole sugya. You say bracha on a mitzvah Rabbanan. Some said not, some said yes. We had a big lineup that said you don't. Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Shua ben Levi and Rabbi Yitzchak, they all say you don't say bracha on a mitzvah Rabbanan. But Rav and Shmuel say that you do. And here's the Gemara that says Neichan Sivanu. How could you say bracha on a mitzvah Rabbanan? Where did Hashem? You say Shekel Hashem b'Misvosav Sivanu. Hashem didn't command us. So why do you say bracha on a mitzvah Rabbanan?
To listen to the Rabbanan.
That's the Gemara's answer. Well, also Hashem said, don't veer from the words of the Rabbanan. So we're listening to Hashem. Hashem commanded us to listen to the Rabbanan. So that's Los also. Rav Nachman Yitzchak says a similar idea, different pasuk, that ask your father and I'll tell you. So that's what your father's. Your father's is the Rabbanan. That's the Chachamim. So you say bracha on Rabbanan. That's what we paskin. So and one more line here. Rav Nachman Yitzchak Masi Labhedia Omer Rav called Shiva Mitzvahs Lulav. Before we just proved that Rav holds you say bracha all 7 days on the Lulav, not from Lulav. He didn't say anything by Lulav. He just said by Chanukah. And we said if he said by Chanukah, also by Lulav because of Mitzvah Rabbanan. But somehow Rav Nachman Yitzchak says that he had the version that said openly that Rav even by Lulav you say bracha all 7 days. So we have that's the Machlokas, and we say bracha on Mitzvahs Rabbanan, and we paskin you do. That's the end of the sugyas. Just to sum it up, we hold you say bracha on Mitzvah Rabbanan, and also we hold on the other machlokas if there was a hafsakah between Yeres Chadas, you also say bracha, even if it's a continuous mitzvah. Since you stop doing it in Yeres Chadas, you also say bracha, and you can come back to do it again. Tan Rabbanan, Ose Sukkah le'atzmo. Omer Baruch Shechianu. There was a brayso quoted before that when you make the sukkah, even before Yontif, you make a bracha Shechianu when you make the sukkah, and soon the Gemara is going to say we don't do that. Nichlas leisha Baruch Shechianu leisha b'sukkah. The brayso continues. What if the sukkah was made already?
Where is it again? Sukkah?
Yes, yes. And then it said, you say when you make the sukkah, you say Shechianu. When you move into the sukkah, you come to do the mitzvah, you say Leisha b'sukkah. This one was made already. Like we had that, you could have a sukkah which was already made. It could be a Goyish sukkah. It could be a sukkah from last year. It doesn't have to be made stam. As long as it was made with sale, we pass like Basila that if it's made with sale, you don't have to make a sukkah for sukkahs. So when do you say Shechianu? That if you could add on something, even though the sukkah is already made and it's kosher, Pasha says that it's kosher also. If you could add on something a little bit more schach, so then you say bracha also. That's considered you made it a little bit. Places over there and upstairs brought down to Yerushalmi that l'chatchil you should do this. You should add something if it's possible. Even sukkahs rakbash ganbach that are sukkahs of goyim is kosher, but if it's possible to add on something it's better l'chatchil. If not, then it's kosher the way it is. But anyway, the Gemara says when you're going to say Shechianu, if you mechadish b'adov, if you add on something, you can say bracha Shechianu. If not, the Shechianu is leisha b'mavrosh. Then if not, then you push up the Shechianu until you move into the sukkah. When you start doing the mitzvah, the night of Yontif, so then you're going to say leisha b'sukkah. You also say Shechianu because you didn't say it when you made it. If you said it when you made it, then you say Shechianu already. But if you didn't say it when you made it, then you say it at night, the night of sukkahs. When you say leisha b'sukkah, you also say Shechianu. Rav Ashi, Chazina leil Rav Kana, the Kamalula, Kulu Akasa the Kiddusha. Rav Ashi said, I saw Rav Kana that he said everything on the kosher together with Kiddush. He said also leisha b'sukkah. He said also Shechianu. And we do this. We don't say the brachas before. We just say everything on the kosher Kiddush. Some learn that this is only in the case where you didn't mechadash b'davar, and therefore you're going to say Shechianu together with the leisha b'sukkah, then put it together with Kiddush. But if you are making a sukkah on your own before, do make a Shechianu before. But the Maisa, the regular poskim, the standard poskim, they say that this Gemara is saying that you don't say the bracha before, even when you make the sukkah before, the lula before, you don't. You just wait till the Yantif, and then you're going to say the Shechianu on together with Kiddush, and then you'll say if they're making the Shechianu on the sukkah also. Tana Rabbanan, new Gemara, easy Gemara. How you find a mitzvahs harbe? You have a lot of mitzvahs to do. Rashi gives some examples. You're going to take lulav and the sukkah, right, together simultaneously. Or Rashi says that you're going to put on tzitzis and tefillin every day in the morning. You do two mitzvahs, one after the other. So which bracha do you say? So everybody knows whatever we do. But the Gemara is not so simple. You say a new bracha. Since you can do a few mitzvahs, so you don't say a particular bracha for each thing. You say Hashem commanded us mitzvahs. And then you put on the tzitzis, put on the tefillin. You don't have to have a special bracha for each particular one. You the Omer? No. Even though you're doing them all of them together, but still say a bracha for each one. And that's how we do. We say bracha on the tzitzis, bracha on the tefillin. bracha on the lula, whatever, and the sukkah, whatever you're doing, you say bracha on each one. You don't make some kind of general bracha. Rab Zeir Vitain Rab Chanina Bar Papa Hilchos HaRab Yehuda. You pass like Rab Yehuda. Rab Zeir Vitain Rab Chanina Bar Papa. My time at Rab Yehuda. Where does he get it from? Where does Rab Yehuda get to say bracha for each one? What's wrong with saying Allah mitzvahs? Chesiv Baruch Hashem Yom Yom. The pasuk says bless Hashem daily. So the first time the pasuk is bless Hashem daily. But the Gemara is dashing it. Does it mean bless Hashem only in the day? You bless him only in the day. You don't bless him at night. What does it mean? Give him blessings according to the day. Bless Hashem in the day means according to what the day is. Rashi says that means on Shabbos, a Shabbos give a bracha about the weekday, about Yantif. Each day give a bracha according to the day. So too, also by every object, everything, also give a Hashem a bracha for each particular item. So therefore, if you have tzitzis and tefillin, make a bracha on each one specifically. So that's why we paskin that you don't generalize, you don't say as a general bracha ala mitzvahs, but you make a bracha for each particular mitzvah that you're doing, even though you're doing them all together. And that's what we're asking. Once the Gemara mentioned Rab Zeira before was Rab Zeira, we think Rab Chanina Bar Papa, so we have a couple of bonuses over here just because of the name. One line up from the bottom. Rab Zeira, we think Rab Chanina Bar Papa, boy, Reish, like Midas HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Midas Vadam. Come and see that Hashem is not like human. Midas Vadam, Klivekon, Machzik. Ahmed Beis, Kli Mole, Eino Machzik. If you have an empty vessel, it could contain, you could put things into an empty vessel. It has room to fill up. But if it's full, you can't put anything in. It's full already. But Hashem, we had this in Pirkei Avos once. We brought it down in Pirkei Avos. Midas HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the opposite. Hashem is the, if you have a full kli, there's room to put in more. That has capacity. Mole Machzik. But if you're an empty vessel, then it doesn't hold anything. If it's a full vessel, then it holds. And the Gemara is going to say what it means by learning. The more a person learns, he gets a bigger vessel. If he doesn't learn, he's ignorant, so then nothing goes in. But if it's full of Torah, so then more Torah goes in. The more Torah you have, the bigger vessel you make. So of course, the Pasuk Pshat is if you will listen, and Shemor Tishma is a double way of saying it. But the Gemara says a drash. Im Shemor Tishma. Im Shemor Tishma. If you heard already, you'll be able to hear more. If you didn't hear, then you can't hear. The more that you will hear, you'll be able to hear more. Another Pshat similar. If you heard the old, you'll hear the new. Rashi says it means if you review the old, that'll give you also new understanding. Rashi says you'll understand more from the old. That's a nice Rashi. That if you chazer, not only will you have a capacity to learn more, you'll be able to learn more from the old. You'll see new insights in the old things that you learned. If you don't review, then you're not going to be able to understand anything. That's
the same.
That's the Davar Achim, right? That's right. The pasuk says, not a pasuk. If you turn your heart, you're not going to hear. So okay, the more dash, if you turn your heart not to hear, then you're not going to be able to hear anymore. The more you hear, the more you could hear. The more you learn, the more capacity you have. Capacity you have to learn more. It's the opposite. You might say that your head is full already. You learn so much, your head is full. That's the opposite. The more you learn, you get a bigger vessel. Very interesting. I just was thinking that recently I forgot about this. The kids in the Cheder, they learn a lot by They learn a lot by heart. So I thought that they learn so much by heart, like stop, don't do anymore. Like they should be able to hold on to it. But it seems not. The Gemara is saying the more you learn, the bigger clear you get. So it's not a reason to stop because you have so much. On the contrary, the more you get, the bigger clear you get also. The Mishnah said, Miyad Tinoko Shamtanes Luvain. So Rashi on the Pshat, we said two Pshatim, and Rashi here is going to say both the other Pshat, and he's going to reject one of them. It says in the Mishnah that something about the children after Shana Rabbah, after they finish doing the mitzvah, so something about eating the srogim. So Rashi said that it meant that the adults, they take the lulavim and the srogim from the children and they eat it. The adults, and Rashi is not considered stealing. Rashi here brings out the pshat, which was mentioned before by Taisvus, that it means that miyad, immediately, the kids throw away their lulavim and they eat their srogim. But Rashi brings a message to back up the first pshat because he says there's a story, an interesting story. We can see the story inside. Rashi, let's see, Rashi. Rashi brings a medrash that says, it was a matter that somebody, he gave money to a poor man. And his wife was angry at him because he gave away they didn't have so much money themselves. And he gave money to the poor person. His wife was angry at him. So he ran away and he had nothing in the parnasa. Shana Rabbah, he went and he took that srogim from the children. Like it says in the Mishnah, he brings this Mishnah. So it says openly, that's what she wants. That it says the adults take that srogim from the kids. And then he went on a book that says over here, and he came to a place where the king needed esrogim for a refuah. Somebody was sick in the royal house, and he needed esrogim, and he was able to sell it for very expensive. He came back home, everything was good. So you see that the adults are the ones who take the esrogim with the children, not that children eat their own esrogim. The adults eat the children's esrogim. Rashi said it's not considered gezel because that's the minhag because of simcha. Anyway, that's what it said, that the adults would eat the children's esrogim. How the Gemara goes in,
Shamat means to grab or
Rishontin means to throw away.
throw away?
Either to slip away, to slip it out. They would be shomate from the children. They would take the children's love and eat the esrog. I'm Rabbi Yochanan. The question is going to be on the Shana during Sukkot. You're not allowed to eat the esrog because it's usher. Besides, you want to have the right? It's muksa. Huksul mitzvah. Yeah, since that's not the word. Huksul mitzvah. Since it was designated for the mitzvah, so you're not allowed to benefit from it. The question is till when. So the question is going to be only till you did the mitzvah or the whole day it's muksa already. The question is going to be Hoshana Rabbah. Once you finished using it on Hoshana Rabbah, you don't need it anymore. Did you already eat it on Hoshana Rabbah once you finish the mitzvah, or the whole day it's muksa? That's going to be the Gemara's issue. I'm Rabbi Yochanan. Esek b'shvi also b'shmini mutter. The esek was also whole Hoshana Rabbah, the whole seventh day. On the eighth day it's mutter. It's over already. The eighth day there's no mitzvah of esrog anymore. But on Shvi, the whole 7 days also. Sukkah afilu b'shmini asura. Rabbi Yochanan. Sukkah afilu b'shmini asura. Sukkah is more stringent. It's also even on the 8th day, Shmini Atzeres. Even though we don't eat in the Sukkah and Shmini Atzeres. The one's not talking about Chus but eat in the Sukkah and Shmini Atzeres. Talking about Eretz Yisrael. The mitzvah is only to eat in the Sukkah 7 days. And even though you sit in the Sukkah only 7 days, it's also to benefit from the Sukkah even on the 8th day. That's the question the Gemara is going to ask. Why should that be? But first, the Gemara is talking about Esrog. That the first sheet was of Yochanan. That Esrog was Aser the whole 7th day. It's mutter on the 8th day. The Shlokish Amar Esrog afilu b'shvi nami mutter. The Shlokish says it's even mutter on the 7th day. Once you finish using it, you're allowed to eat the Esrog. The Mike, if you was Machlosh of Yochanan or Shlokish, Ma'asav mitzvah says Katzay. Shlokish says it's only designated for the mitzvah, and once you did the mitzvah, it's over already. So now you could benefit from it. But Ma'asav, Yochanan says the Kul Yom is Katzay. It's mixed for the whole day. You can use the whole Shana Rabbah. There was a kasha from the Mishnah that says they ate the esrogim on the Shana Rabbah. It says in the Mishnah they took the esrogim of the kids and they ate it on the Shana Rabbah. Don't you see? You see something over there. It says in the Mishnah, you eat the esrogim on the Shana Rabbah. That they would eat the esrogim on the 7th day. It happens if you're talking about kids. They took the kids to love to cause the esrogim, but doesn't it mean that you're allowed to eat the esrogim? So it says allowed to eat the esrogim on the Shana Rabbah. No, Tinokas Dafka. The Rebbe says no, only the children's. It's only Chinuch Esrogim. It's not real Esrogim. It's not really Muksal Mitzvah because it's not really a mitzvah. Then those are the ones you're allowed to eat. But on the contrary, the adult Esrogim are not allowed to eat till the end of the day. Ikadami Oda has had a different version.
Because if you do Chinuch, then they're not doing right. They're not.
No,
kids, then they're learning that if you're an adult, if you can't do it, then.
But the chinuch is to do the mitzvah. But the chinuch wasn't to say that it becomes muktzah. We're not going to make it such a chinuch that it becomes muktzah. It's really not. They didn't do the mitzvah. They're children. They have no mitzvah to do it. So it doesn't become muktzah.
So what's the? If we do the mitzvah.
So we're going to pass like a Yochanan that it's also the whole Shana Rabbah. The adult esrogim is like a Yochanan. But the children's you could. The children's esrogim, even a Yochanan will say that you're allowed to eat the children's esrogim.
We leave it in shul and we just.
Why leave it in shul? Because people don't eat this esrogim nowadays. But the Gabbai wants people shouldn't leave it over there. But they say also that esrogim nowadays so much pesticides. They say maybe don't eat it because it's not healthy to eat esrogim because they put someone as. The others had a different version, and they said the opposite. Yochanan is on the offense. That they ate the children's esrogim. After the children's esrogim, Tinochos and the Gedolim lo. Smash, but they would eat the children's esrogim because they weren't muktzah. But the adult esrogim, you were not allowed to be eat, even though you did the mitzvah already. So it's right to Yochanan. But the Rish says no. It could be that you're allowed to eat even the adult esrogim. The reason why he said the children's esrogim, that's what people used to do. They used to grab the children's esrogim, but they allowed to eat the adult esrogim also. So that's the end of the machlokes. We're going to pass him like a Yochanan that you're not allowed to eat the esrog the whole 7th day. The children's esrogim you could, but the adult esrogim, like a Yochanan, you're not allowed to eat it the whole day. Now the Gemara goes back. We'll come back to esrog soon, but first the Gemara goes a little bit to sukkah. Before we said that even according to Yochanan, you're not allowed to eat the esrog the whole 7th day. But the sukkah, you can't use the whole 8th day. And that's the kasha. The mitzvah of sukkah is also only 7 days. Why can't you benefit from the sukkah on the 8th day? It happens to us a lot of time that we have a sukkah and we're not using it on Shmini Atzeres, but you want to sit over there. It's a nice day. It's cool. Why not? Okay, so that talks about maybe that you have to make a haircut that you're not doing it for the mitzvah, but I lot of benefit from the wood. I lot of benefit from the atzei sukkah. Rashi talks about if you want to burn it, you want to use it for fuel, I allowed to use the wood of the sukkah. That's become also not even for shmini. Maybe I started benefiting from sitting in the sukkah. I don't know. Okay, let's see.
Excuse me, in the when the etrog becomes muktzah, does that mean the lulav is also becomes muktzah?
Yes, but what could you not? What do you use a lulav for? For sweeping, for a broom. Nowadays we don't use it
Well, I
anymore.
don't know. People, when people throw it up on top of the Aron Kodesh,
But
they
they're
may
not-
be
They're not.
they may be puzzling it. It doesn't matter if they're
No,
puzzling.
they're not benefiting. Not benefiting from it or anything. You're allowed to make it puzzle. Nobody said to make it puzzle. You're just not allowed to benefit from it. But they're not benefiting from it by putting it on top of the Aron Kodesh. They're just decorating the shul. They're not benefiting from it. I'm not
If
sure.
somebody else is going to use it
not
that same day
decorating.
that hasn't been yotze yet, then there's a reason to save it, right?
That's a practical thing. If somebody else could use it still, that's just a practical thing. But there's no.
Uh-huh.
It's not a savannah.
Okay.
Saying something?
I just said they're not decorating the shul.
Why do people do it? Do you know why people do it?
I don't know. They
Yes,
call it a minhag.
so-
I have no idea.
A minhag, first of all, then they don't have to throw it out, and second of all, then they save it to burn the chametz on Pesach.
That's not a piece to put on the Aron Kodesh. It doesn't, unless they think that it's considered honoring the Aron Kodesh. I don't know why. I don't know what the minhag is based on. In their Ramban, there is no way to put it on top of the Aron Kodesh.
You
They,
leave it to Avram Nissen, right? Avram Nissen, we just leave you the.
Yeah, they leave it made, but they managed to throw it up on top anyway, even though there's no real ledge on top of their own Kodesh. They get it there anyway.
Okay, that's the most question. Why should the sukkah be more chomer? Why should the sukkah be us on the 8th day? You finish sukkah on the 7th day. Why should it be us to benefit from it on the 8th day? Yochanan, who said this, how come the sukkah is us on the 8th day and the esrog is not? Amalei sukkah the chazal ben hashmoshes. He is from Milei V'Sudosa B'Goy Mesid B'Gavo Meichal B'Gavo. It's Kasei ben hashmoshes. Umigad is Kasei ben hashmoshes. It's Kasei L'Kula Yom D'Shmini. The sukkah. What if you want to eat towards the end of Shoshana Rabbah? Sukkot is going out. Shmini Atzeres is coming in. It's still ben hashmoshes, and you want to eat. You have to eat in the sukkah. Because maybe it's still sukkahs, maybe it's still Shana Rabbah. So sukkahs, it's still fit for ben hashmoshes, because if you want to eat something, you have to eat in the sukkah, and if you eat in the sukkah, it's going to become muktzah l'mitzvah because you use the ben hashmoshes. So then it's muktzah the whole rest of the day. This is we had a couple of times in Hilchos Shabbos now. This is here, it's inside. You have the text. Migud is kasei ben hashmoshes, is kasei l'kula yom. Since it was muktzah designated ben hashmoshes of the Shmini Atzeres, so it's muktzah the whole day. But the esrog, you don't have ben hashmoshes of Shana Rabbah. Use it in the morning, it's finished. Once you take the esrog in the morning, there's no reason to take it again. Esrog the loya chazil ben hashmoshes, lo's kasei ben hashmoshes, but lo's kasei l'kula yom with the Shmini. It's esrog that you don't use ben hashmoshes. Use it in the morning already, so it doesn't become used ben hashmoshes. So there's no reason that it should become also on Shmini Atzeres. So far we had two shittas. We had about sukkah. It says that it's also on Shmini Atzeres because it might be used also ben hashmoshes of Shmini Atzeres. Yes, no one arguing on that. But as far as that's, we had a machlokes is a mutter right away on Hoshana Rabbah as soon as you finish using it. Rish Lakish, Rabbi Yochanan said no, it's also the whole day because it's muktzah the kula yoma. Since it was designated for the mitzvah, it's muktzah the whole day. Now we have a third opinion, even more chomer. The Levi Amar esrog afilu b'shmini aseh. The esrog is asked even on Shmini Atzeres also, but he doesn't explain why. This Levi doesn't explain why. Why should there be such a sheet that esrog is asked even b'shmini? So Rashi says of Pshat, in case you use it. Oh, Rashi says because. Rashi says, not in that case used, Rashi says because since the Lamaisa you're not allowed to benefit from it on Ben Hashmoshes, because still maybe it's still Hoshana Rabbah. He also like a Yochanan, it's also the whole Hoshana Rabbah. So you're not allowed to eat it still Ben Hashmoshes. Since you're not allowed to eat Ben Hashmoshes, you're not allowed to eat, it becomes muktzah for the whole Shmini Atzeres also. That's Rashi's shot. Taisha says the reason is because it's Xerah to Sukkah. Since Sukkah is also on Shmini Atzeres, so they made the Sukkah, the lulav also should, the esrog also should be also on Shmini Atzeres. That was Levi. That's why I had three sheets about the esrog. Either only till after you once you use it, it's mutter, or the whole 7th day it's also, or even the 8th day it's also. Avud Shmuel Amar esrog b'shvi aser b'shmini mutter. Avud Shmuel, the father of Shmuel's father, he holds like Rabbi Yochanan that it's aser only on the 7th day. On the 8th day it's mutter. Come Avud Shmuel b'shitze the Levi. Avud Shmuel, even though first originally he held like Rabbi Yochanan that the esrog is mutter on Shmini, he changed his mind. He holds like Levi that it's aser on the 8th day also. We should say that Avud Shmuel. We do find that Zera does hold like Avud Shmuel or Yochanan originally that it's mutter on the 8th day, only us on the 7th day. Then Zera esrog shnipshala asalach b'kol shiva. If esrog became possible, it's also for all 7 days because you meant to use it for all 7 days. When you designated it for all 7 days. And even if it became puzzle, also it's puzzle for 7. It's also for 7 days, but not 8 days. So you see, Abzera holds like the Shita of Rabbi Yochanan, Abu the Shmuel, not like Levi that holds us on the 8th day. So far, we had 3 opinions about the esrog. Is it also till you use it? Once you use it, it's mutter. That was a shlokish. Rabbi Yochanan said it's also the whole 7th day, and Levi said it's also even on the 8th day. The Gemara continues. The Gemara has a little going off the topic a little tangent. If Zera said something, so we're also going to talk about two Gemaras about Rav Zera. We'll come back to Asugi again. Rav Zera, a person should not give his lulav to a child on the first day of Yom Tov before he used it himself, because you have to have lachem. It has to belong to you. Once you give it to a child, and you're giving it to him, he's going to acquire it, and it's his, and you can't get it back from him anymore. The child doesn't have the ability to give; you only could acquire. So therefore, you're going to lose your lulav. Even the father wants to give it to a son, he should first do the mitzvah himself, then he can give it to a son, and the son will be lachem, and he can do the mitzvah also. But if he gives it to the son first, then the father lost out.
But why? I mean, I thought that everything that he gives his son is like his.
It seems not that the father does have the ability to give something to his son. If he gives it to him, he gives it to him. It is true that the son who acquires something, so it belongs to the father. But if someone gives a present to the son with a condition that it shouldn't belong to the father, or the father himself gives something to the son, so then it does belong to the son. I think that's the halach in Choshen Mishpat over there. So here, if you're going to give the lulav to the son, you have to give it to him because you want him to get that the mitzvah of lachem. You can't lend him a esrog. You have to give it. You have to give it to him, so you can't get it back anymore. And if it can only be borrowed, then for the second day it's okay. But then the first day, make sure you do the mitzvah first by yourself. That it should be lachem. Then give it to the child. He gets lachem, and then the rest of the sukkah you'll borrow it from him. But he has no.
Oh, but the second day is okay.
Right. Second day is okay because you don't need.
Why?
Lachem. Because you don't need it's a borrowed esrog is also good. So it's true that you can't get it back from the child, but okay, you don't get it back from the child. It belongs to him, and the father's borrowing it from him.
Rebbe,
yes, please.
does Gadi have a question on the wife? Because technically the wife, it really is his if he gives it to her.
I don't think so. If he can give it to his wife also. The same way he gives it to a child. If a husband gives a present to his wife, it also belongs to her.
Yeah, but Ishtar, why don't Ishtar go for it?
I think not. I think that if he gives a present, Ishtar Kegufa, I think doesn't have and everything.
I wasn't calling it by Ishtar Kegufa. I was calling it by Nechosim.
I think a wife does have her own property. There are certain takonis that there's a special takonis, not because everything. It's not like every Kanani, everything belongs to the master. Even every Kanani also. You can give a present. I'm not saying the Rabbi Rishizbo, but the wife, a woman, and a child could have ownership. Just there are certain things that Metzia, that the
my whole question was based on the Umdana that if it's the first day of Sukkot, when he's giving it, he has in his das that he's not giving it as a full present, and nevertheless, does the halacha trip him up because of the fact of lachem?
On the contrary, the first day he has to give it because else he's not doing anything. He wants his wife to be yotzei, or he wants the child to be yotzei, so he has to give it. That they should have it. If he doesn't give it, so then they didn't get it. They didn't do anything. You need lachem on the first day. On the contrary, the first day is the reason why he is giving it. I can't get it back. My time, a child could acquire, but he cannot give. I don't have a fancy word for acquire to give. What's acquire is to receive, and how do you say to? Okay, everyone understands. He can't be makna, he could be kona, he can't be makna, and therefore shtakach to konafik belul shenish shalom. So the father is going to be yotzei with a lul, which is not. It means he's not yotzei. So the father should first be yotzei himself, then he give it to the child. That was a bonus. It's not our subject. It has to do with lulav, but it's not our subject. This is not the subject, but it's also Rav Zera. Allah is about children over here. A person should not tell to a child, "I'm going to give you something," and then not give it to him. Because you're teaching him lying, to false. So that this means sometimes halachically to an adult, even though you said you're going to give something, there are times that you're allowed to retract. But it says to a child, even though halachically, technically, he would be able to retract, to a child, don't retract, because he doesn't know these technicalities. He's going to learn that daddy said he's going to give me and he didn't give me. So you're teaching them to lie. They teach their tongues to speak falsehood. So make sure that you don't teach your children to speak falsehood.
What I missed was yesterday in the Pasha.
It's by neder. Neder is something else.
That's a neder?
Here I'm saying that's a neder. That's the one neder over there. But here also, it's talking about a case that to an adult, you would be allowed to retract sometimes. You says something, I'll give you a present. Sometimes, halachically, you're allowed to retract. But to a child, don't retract because because he's going to learn the wrong lesson. Ubeplukta, the machlokes whatever we spoke about before, if the esrog is on the 7th day is mutter aser, is going to be a machlokes also between other Amoram. It says hifrish shiva esrogim l'shiva yamim. Yeah, 7 esrogim, 1 a day. And now I want to be able to eat it also. Each one you could use it and eat it immediately because it's only designated for that mitzvah, like Rish Lakish. Rav holds like Rish Lakish that it's only muktzah for the mitzvah. Once you do the mitzvah, it's mutter, even the same day. The Ravasi holds like Rabbi Yochanan. You could use it and use it the next day because the same day you can't use it. If you have a regular esrog, you don't have 7 esrog, 1 esrog for all 7 days, then it's also till the last day. But once you use it on the Shana Rabbah, Rav and Rish Lakish will say you could eat it right away. But the Rabbi Yochanan and Ravasi will say you have to wait till the end of the day. So he's talking about you have 7 esrogim, but the same idea, the same principle. Is it only muktzah until you finish using it, or is it muktzah the rest of the day? We pass like Rabbi Yochanan and Ravasi, it's also the whole day. The Mai Kamifli, what's machlok, same as before. One of them holds is only us as long as you do the mitzvah. The other one says that it's also the whole day. The Gemara ends off about Chutz La'aretz. In Chutz La'aretz that is Shmini Atzeres. So he said that we pass that the esrog is us around the 7th day. And mutter on the 8th day. But in Shmini Atzeres might be the 7th day. Now the truth is that we don't take the esrog on, anybody in Chutz La'aretz doesn't take the esrog on Shmini Atzeres. Even though you sit in the sukkah on Shmini Atzeres, maybe it's the 7th day, but we don't take the lulav on the Shmini Atzeres. But the one wants to know, is it also to benefit from it? You took the lulav on Ashana Rabbah, and it's also the whole Ashana Rabbah. Is it also also Shmini Atzeres? Because maybe it's still the 7th day. And now the Islam, in Chutz La'aretz, in Babel, we have 2 days. How do we do it? Until when is the esrog going to be aser? Amar Avaya, Shmini Safek Shmini aser. It is aser on Shmini Atzeres. The 8th day, which might be the Shana Rabbah, is still aser. But the next Simchas Torah, the next day, is Safek Shmini mutter. That's showing mutter because it's nothing to do with Sukkot anymore. It's already far away from Sukkot. It's only Shmini Safek Shmini Atzeres. But the Shmini, which is a Safek, maybe it's the 7th day, so it's still aser. So Taisha says if Zera to yes.
In Chutz La'aretz, everybody sits in the sukkah.
Yeah, I think some people don't, but really is supposed to. Really is supposed to. Really is supposed to. We'll see that that's tomorrow's Gemara. That in Shmini says you're supposed to sit on the sukkah, and also the Pashas are sleeping in the sukkah also. But there are those that don't. The Pashas says you're supposed to. We'll see the sukkah tomorrow. Merema, Amar Afilu Shmini Safek Shvi Mutter. He says the Chutz La'aretz is mutter. On the 8th day, even though it's Safek Shvi, it's still mutter. The Surah Avdi Merema, Rav Shish Beda Vidi Avad Kabaya, Machlokes which way to do. That is aser on the 8th day also. So esrog in Eretz Yisrael is aser the whole 7th day, but the 8th day is mutter, and Chutz La'aretz that they have 2 days yantiv, so it's aser on the 8th day also.
Again, I'm sorry.
Esrog in Eretz Yisrael is aser not on Ashana Rabbah, even after you finish doing the mitzvah, it's aser the whole day,
Right.
like a Yochanan, and Chutz La'aretz, but it's mutter on the 8th day, and Chutz La'aretz is aser even the 8th day also, maybe it's still the 7th day.
Oh,
Adkan.
but they keep 8 days of actual waiting.
So I said, no, they don't take the lulav on the 8th day, but it's also still also the benefit from it on the 8th day, even though they didn't take it on that day. So they say maybe Xer because of Sukkot or other possibilities why they might have made Xer over there. That's the end of the sugya. So that's to sum up today's machlok, today's issues. The issue in the beginning, we had two issues in the beginning. One was the Yisei Bracha and Mitzvah Rabbanan. For instance, lulav, the rest of the 6 days, or we had Hanukkah, Megillah. Maybe also Natilah Shaddai. I'm throwing in some more Rabbanans Erev, I'm not sure. But it seems to be a machlokas over here. Some say don't say Bracha on Rabbanas. We pass can you do? And the more says Zeichin Sivon. How could you say Hashem commanded us? Hashem commanded us. That was the issue about saying a bracha on mitzvah Rabbanan. The other issue was when you have a continuous mitzvah, but you have Mesiach Das in between, and you come back to do it again, do you say bracha again? For instance, you went out of the sukkah, went for a trip, went for davening, you come back, do you say bracha again? Or filling, you took it off, went to the bathroom, you can't put it on again, do you say bracha again? Machlok is also, we pass that you do. You pass to say bracha again. So if you went out of the sukkah, even many times during the day, whenever you come back, you say bracha. Also filling, you took it off, and went to the bathroom, came out again, you say bracha each time.
Even if it's not his chadas, he knows he's coming straight back.
So in the bathroom, they say it is hesed chadas because you can't do the mitzvah in the bathroom. So therefore, it's definitely hesed chadas. By other mitzvahs, where they talk about tzitzis, things like that, that you could take technically into the bathroom. So then they say that's my focus already. Poskim, the Ashkenazim don't say it. The Ashkenazim don't say bracha. The Sfaradim do. The Gemara also does, I think. That's already in the poskim. The next Gemara talks about making in the Gemara spoke about saying Shachiyanu even on making the lulav, making the sukkah. The minhag is based on the end of the Gemara that we don't say the bracha only together with Kiddush. And then there was a general machlokes when you do many mitzvahs together, do you say all mitzvahs? And pass like Rabbi Yehuda, Baruch Hashem Yom Yom, that you say a bracha on each particular mitzvah, just like we say on each particular day. Also, we say a bracha on each particular mitzvah. Agav, it brought down from Abzir a couple of things about that a person who's full of Torah, he has more capacity. When he's empty of Torah, then he has no capacity. The opposite of Midas Basar V'Dam. And also, the more you review, the more you'll be able to take things out of that old learning that you didn't see before. Machlokes, we just mentioned now about the esrog on the 7 days, it also to benefit from it until the end of the day. Rabbi Yochanan says yes, Rosh Lakish says not. We went to the Mishnah that talks about eating the children's esrogim. Rabbi Yochanan is going to say dafka children's esrogim because they're not really muktzah, they're not really for a mitzvah. But you cannot eat the adult esrogim. That's how we pass it. As far as the sukkah, it is us even on the 8th day, even though you don't need it on the sukkah and the Shmini Atzeres. But the reason why it's us is because if you'd have to eat there ben hashmoshes of Hoshana Rabbah, at the end of Hoshana Rabbah, you would have to eat there. So it's very ben hashmoshes of the Shmini Atzeres, so it becomes asa the rest of the day also. But esrog, you don't take Hoshana Rabbah ben hashmoshes because you did it early in the morning, so you don't have to. It wasn't machlokes. Some shittas were machmer more and said that esrog was asa even b'shmini. You don't pass like that. You pass like Rabbi Yochanan that it's asa even after the mitzvah the whole day, but not the next day. As far as what was the last thing in Chuslar? The Gemara says that since the 8th day is a suffix, maybe it's the 7th day, so then it's asa also on Shmini Atzeres also. Machlokes about it, but that's how we pass it.
Where did we end?
We ended 4 lines from the bottom.
Rebbe,
Yes, please.
Rabbi Rosner mentioned that although the Tosfos here on Mem Hey Amud Beis, Echad Zeh Echad Zeh Shiva, seems to say that Ashkenazim would bless on the sukkah, Kol Emas de Niknas Law Kadesh Yoichel V'Yishta V'Yashan. We actually paskin not like that. We paskin like another Tosfos, which is Rabbeinu Tam, in another place, where he says that it's only when you eat and not just when you'd sleep.
I think it's a mistake, but we'll get to that tomorrow. I think that's a mistake. Because the issue of Rabbeinu Tam is only if you come into the sukkah and you're going to be eating later on in this sitting. In this sitting, so then the minhag is to push off the bracha until the meal time. But if you're only going to be sitting and you're going to leave before you're going to eat, so we do say bracha. It's not commonly known, but the Mishnah Berurah says so, and the Chor there's no reason not to. You do say bracha on the sitting alone. The minhag you're talking about is only when you're going to eat. Later on, I'm going to sit it for an hour, and after the hour, or in this sitting, before I leave, I'm going to have a meal. I come in to learn for an hour, and then I'm going to have a meal. I come at 11 o'clock, I'm going to eat 12 o'clock. So the regular custom is, don't say the bracha now, say the bracha when you're going to eat. But if you're coming in to learn for an hour and you're not going to eat a meal, you're going to go out to mincha, so you do say bracha on the sitting alone. We'll see that tomorrow, Bez Hashem. Thank you for bringing it up. Yashikah.
Baruch Tiyem.
Thank you. We'll be back in about 5 minutes to do Pirkei Avos.
Yeshikoch.
Have a good day.